How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Schmoedown Central. I'm your host, Brad Thomas. The live week happened on Collider. Unfortunately, couldn't make it down to see these ones live and in person a couple weeks ago, but we do have the video versions, and I was very excited to see these matches. Two great matches we had on our hands, so let's get into that first one. On Tuesday, we had the Real Rejects going up against the Wildberries. Real Rejects coming in with a record of 1-4 against the Wildberries, coming in at the 0-2 record, looking to get their first W of their career. Round 1 saw teams pretty much be evenly matched. The two big standouts in this round was Josh McCouga and Greg Alba, both going 6 for 8 in this round. Meanwhile, Elliot Dewberry and John Humphreys both go 4 for 8, making this a 10-10 tie going into round 2. Josh could have got that extra point, but couldn't write down the village in time, and unfortunately missed out on that. In round number 2, the Real Rejects were up first and spun comic book movies. You would think would be a big strength for the Real Rejects, but they end up only going 2 for 6 and get a possible 4 out of 12 points. They lose a 1-point steal on the second question, and then they miss their fourth question, but the Wildberries could not come up with the 2-point question and instead say Flaming Torch instead of Human Torch, so they were not awarded the steal. The Real Rejects also missed their fifth question, and another 1-point steal goes to the Wildberries. Wildberries were up and they end up spinning comedy, and they go 4 for 6 and get a possible 8 out of 12 points, but not without giving up some steals. They end up giving up a 1-point steal on question number 5. And question 6 got a little bit tricky because Christian said the Jack Black answer, so a new question was awarded for the Real Rejects to steal, and they end up getting a 2-point steal for question number 6. This led to the Wildberries leading 20-17 going into round number 3. And in round number 3, Greg was up first, hitting the 70s category, ends up getting that one incorrect. John was up with Charlie Sheen and couldn't pull up the answer for the Charlie Sheen question, so they had to come together and get the question correct for the third one, the 5-pointer in directors, and they end up doing so and go up 22-20. The Wildberries were up and they get comic book movies for the first question, so Elliot was up to answer that. He unfortunately gets that one wrong after naming the two Spider-Man 3 villains as Venom and the Green Goblin. That was challenged, of course, by the Real Rejects, as the Green Goblin was not the name of the character in that movie, so they were not awarded the points. Question 2, Josh was up with Leonardo DiCaprio movies, couldn't get the correct answer in that category, and they had to come together like the Real Rejects did on their 5-point question in the category of dramas this time, and they end up getting that one correct to secure the first victory for the Wildberries by a score of 25-22. The Wildberries improved the record to 1-2, go 15 for 25 of the questions they were personally asked for 60%, plus the 2 steals. The Real Rejects unfortunately dropped to 1-5. They go 13 for 25 of the questions they were personally asked for 52%, plus 2 steals, one of those being a 2-pointer and one being a 1-pointer. Individually, the competitors were pretty much evenly matched, as Josh McCouga goes 6 for 9 for 68%, and Elliot goes 4 for 9 for 44%. As for Greg, he again goes 6 for 9 for 68%, and John going 4 for 9 for 44%. There were definitely a lot of steals and a lot of challenges in this match, made for a highly entertaining match, especially between the Wildberries and the Real Rejects, both putting on a terrific show. And what does this mean going forward? Well, it means that the Wildberries, of course, want some more victories, and they want to challenge the Kingsmen, but so do the Real Rejects. So we'll have to see exactly what happens next with both those teams. It's going to be an uphill battle for the Real Rejects, now at a 1-5 record, but we'll have to see what happens with that team moving forward. As for, again, the Wildberries, highly entertaining match, and they're entertainers, that is for sure. I can't wait to see who their next opponents are and what that has in store for us. And on Friday, we had the main event, John Rocha versus JTE. John Rocha, the number 4 ranked competitor, coming in with a record of 7-5 with 1 knockout. Going up against JTE, record of 8-8 with 1 knockout. Ranked number 1 contender, of course, after Rachel lost to Sam Levine for the title. In round number 1, a very even match, Rocha and JTE both going back and forth, and they both end up ending the round with 6 points. Round number 2, JTE was up to spin first, and he spins a big strength of his in Sly and Arnie. Should have been a home run for JTE. Unfortunately, that was not the case. He only gets 1 out of a possible 4 questions correct, 2 out of a possible 8 points, and gave up 4 points in steals, 1 on the first question by just mistaking 1 word in his answer. Of course, misses question 3, and then gives up another 2-point steal on the 4th question by just mispronouncing a name, one of JTE's biggest faults, and unfortunately came back to bite him in this round. As for John Rocha, he was up to spin, now heading in to his own spin while JTE's already spun with the lead, and he gets westerns. A big strength of Rocha's. Will he mess it up like JTE does? He did not. He goes 4 for 4, gets a possible 7 out of 8 points, and leads by a wide margin heading into the third round. JTE had to hit all 3 of his questions to take the lead and force John Rocha to answer some questions in this round. His first question was in the category of new releases. He gets that one correct. His second question was in Rocha's strength of westerns. He could not get the correct answer, of course, answering Jane Fonda. A funny little joke there from JT, but the last laugh was with John Rocha as he wins the 17-10 via TKO. Rocha improves his record to 8-5 with 2 knockouts as JT falls to 8-9 with 1 knockout. Now with the losing record, a tough pill to swallow for JT, but we'll see what he has in store next. As for Rocha, he goes 10 for 12 for 83% plus 2 2-point steals. Very impressive from John Rocha, one of his better games he's ever played. As for JT, he goes 8 for 14 for 57%. Not a strong round and game from JTE. Very tough break for him. So again, we'll have to see what happens going forward. So what's next for John Rocha? Well, he wants to call the entire Lions Den, but in particular, Jeff Snyder. We'll have to see when or if that match happens. I assume it will. It'll be a great, entertaining match. He wants to take out the entire Lions Den, starting with Snyder after beating JT, so we'll have to see what happens there. As for some other developments in other types of matches, we find out that Clark Wolf will be Emma Fife's pick to go up for a number 1 contender spot. She's a pick, of course, one person from the top 10 competitors in the singles division, so we'll have to see who she decides to choose. It'll be a very entertaining match. Will she pick her own partner in Rachel Cushing to go up on a one-on-one match? We'll have to see what happens in that match, but again, great developments in the Movie Trivia Schmoedown, and I can't wait to see what happens next. So coming up this week on the Schmoedown, we got on April 3rd Above the Line taking on MODOK. We'll have to see what happens there. I believe this is a number 1 contender spot as well, so one of these people could be going up against the Patriots to take away their titles once and for all. We'll have to wait and see what happens. My money's on Above the Line after the impressive showing they had in last year's team tournament. Just couldn't quite close out in the finals, but it'll be a very entertaining match and one surely to give the Patriots a run for their money. As for on Friday, we got 2 matches, one of them being the Patreon exclusive match that myself and other patrons have seen. That's RB3 versus Stacey Howard. Stacey Howard coming in probably as the favorite in this match, having won some matches. RB3, of course, has yet to win a match, but we'll have to see what happens in this match. Anything can happen. RB3 is a young kid, and hopefully that young knowledge can help him propel himself to a big victory over Stacey Howard. But again, Stacey Howard coming off a tough loss, but also an impressive win over Mark Ellis in the singles tournament last year. For the main event, we got Mark Donica going up against Jared Havon for the number 1 contender shot in the Intergeekdom League. My money's on Mark Donica, but anything can happen in the Intergeekdom League. If you hit a strength of yours and your opponent hits a weakness, it could be game over for the other competitors. So we'll have to see what happens here. Mark Donica, again, is probably the odds-on favorite, but anything can happen in the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. So as for our play of the week, they're kind of going to be linked together with the misplay, but it's John Rocha capitalizing on the misses by JTE, getting 4 points in steals in round number 2. A big play for John Rocha. Again, those 4-point swing is the make or break thing of JTE answering that third and final question to hopefully maybe force it to John Rocha answering some of his questions in round 3 and giving JT a higher chance to win the match. But again, that coincides with our misplay of the week, which is JT missing 2 questions in round number 2. Again, one word was the error on the first one, and then on the second one, it was just the pronunciation and getting the name wrong. Unfortunately, mispronouncing the first name and last name of the actress. So unfortunate miss for JT, but again, a key moment for John Rocha. And again, that leads us right into our player of the week, and that's got to be John Rocha. He had an impressive game again with those 2 2-point steals, taking in 4 points in the steals, and then goes 10 for 12 for 83%, not even needing to get to that third and final round for John Rocha. An impressive first round, led by an even more impressive second round from the Outlaw. So that does it for this week on Schmoedown Central. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe to this channel, like this video, let me know your thoughts on anything in the Schmoedown and this video, what your thoughts are on the player of the misplay, the play of the week were, and just what your thoughts are next week. Maybe giving us predictions for next week's matches. I'd like to hear those in the comments below. Again, subscribe, like the video, and follow me on social media at 94BradThomas or at Schmoedown Cent on Twitter. That is it. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and until next time, I'll talk to you later on Schmoedown Central.